Have you ever walked into a room and looked around and thought, what am I doing here? That whisper in your mind that's saying that you don't belong or you're not good enough or worthy enough of being sat round a particular table. Well, that voice has a name, imposter syndrome, or imposter phenomena, as I like to call it. I imagine many of you in the room are familiar with the phrase imposter syndrome, a psychological pattern where high achieving, capable individuals doubt their successes and fear as being exposed as a fraud or a phony. That's despite clear evidence of their competence. It can paralyze the most capable of individuals and impact wider across teams too. And if you recognise this, you're actually in quite good company because there's many famous faces that have shared their experiences of imposter syndrome. Jacinda Ardern, politician, former New Zealand Prime Minister, youngest female head of state, held up as an exemplar leader during the pandemic. Well, she's openly heard saying she doesn't think she's as good as others think she is. Actor, Oscar winner Tom Hanks. Well, apparently he's just waiting to be found out. And Maya Angelou, the author, she wrote 11 bestsellers during her life. And yet again, she was reported to regularly be heard going, uh-oh, any minute now, they're going to find me out. For years, the world has framed imposter syndrome as something broken in us. But what if that's the wrong question entirely? What if it isn't something to be fixed, but something to be channeled? What if we reframe our thoughts around it and view it as imposter phenomena instead? It's not a disorder inferred by using the word syndrome. It's actually just a psychological common pattern linked to experiences. Imposter syndrome convinces us that the ground beneath us is fragile. But here's the truth. When you dare to walk it, step by shaky step, that same fragile ground becomes unshakable, terra firma, and it becomes the platform that then propels us forward. And that's what I call believe it forward. So, how do I know all this? You may well ask. Well, I know it because I've lived it and I've felt it. I have the master's degrees, won awards, held the senior positions, coached leaders, written words read by many. Yet still that voice would whisper, they'll find me out. I have a moment that I call my tipping point moment. And that's when I was invited to go and study at Oxford University. I hadn't applied, people in the sector had approached me to attend. It was just one of those opportunities you don't turn down. Yet my first reaction was, no, not me, not Oxford, I'm too northern, I'm not going to fit in there. But something within me, call it courage, stubbornness, or a tiny spark of self-belief, knew I had to open that door. So off I went, bright pink broken suitcase and all, and toddled off to Oxford. I'd never been to Oxford before, and when I got there, everything looked idyllic, yet I felt physically sick. I sat on the edge of this bed in my allocated room, or cell as I fondly referred to it at the time, TV on for distraction, watching Ticking Point, you know, the quiz show with Ben Shepherd. And I sat there on the edge of this bed, watching this giant jackpot counter edge nearer and nearer to this £10,000 drop. As time ticked, and edged nearer and nearer to the moment that I had to go downstairs and meet the professors and the CEOs and the tutors and the fellow delegates. Every part of me wanted to turn around and head back for the hills of Lancashire. But underneath that, there was this quiet truth that actually I was there because I'd earned it. That was the moment that something shifted. The moment that I realised the only thing keeping me paralysed in that room was actually me. Yep, that's what I call my tipping point moment. The moment that I felt my steel backbone kick in. The part of me that refuses to shrink when I know I'm meant to rise. Courage, resilience, tenacity. The part of me that refuses to let fear close those doors that I'm meant to walk through. I believed it forward. So going forward, instead of trying to quieten all this noise in my head, I channeled my energy and I built a framework to help me and others turn that phenomena into fuel, just as I had. And I call it the Brave model. Now, Brave wasn't created out of a moment of inspiration. It was born out of necessity. I had spent years reading and researching and trying to understand the psychology behind confidence, imposter syndrome, and the inner critic. But underneath all of that was something far more personal. My own resilience, my own belief that there had to be a way to steady myself when the noise in my head became too loud. I was searching for a tool, something practical, something that I could reach for in the moments when doubt tried to take that wheel. Brave emerged from that search, a framework built on experience, evidence, and the stubborn tenacity that had carried me forward through my challenges. It became the armour I needed and eventually the one that I now share with others. So, what exactly is Brave? Well, it's quite simple. It's an acronym. B is belief, choosing to believe in your worth, your skills, your abilities, even when that doubt is really loud. R is reflect, pause to see the patterns, learn from the struggle. A is acknowledge, naming your achievements, however small, and V is validate. Accept those successes, accept that feedback. Do not dismiss them as chance or insignificant. And E is empower, using your story to lift others, paying it forward. I mentored somebody very early on in their career, and it jumped out at me very quickly that I had a skilled, talented, innovative team member on my hands. But whenever we talked about development or next steps, she would immediately retreat or shy away. And she would say things like, "No, I'm no good, I'm not ready, or I can't do that." And astonishingly, she would dismiss her successes as if they were some sort of fluke or luck and that accidentally happened. Together, we worked through Brave. She started to acknowledge her successes, capture that feedback through that validation, and slowly believe in her own leadership. And some 6 months later, she was promoted. Not because the imposter voice disappeared, but because she learned to walk alongside it. She believed it forward. So, how about the science behind all of this then? Well, studies show that up to 70% of people experience imposter syndrome. Leaders, students, entrepreneurs, celebrities, doesn't discriminate. And here's the fascinating part. Studies also suggest that those that feel like imposters often perform at a higher level. So why is that then? Well, because they prepare more thoroughly, they stay humble, they keep learning, they have that growth mindset. So imposter syndrome isn't a weakness then, is it? It's energy. It's proof that you care. And when you channel it through Brave, it becomes strength. Right, let's do something together now. Turn to the person next to you. Go on, introduce yourself. And what I want you to do, goodness me, you really are introducing yourself, aren't you? Yeah. Mm. And what I want you to do now is think of one thing that you're doing really well in your life right now. Go on, think about one thing you're doing really well in your life right now. Go on, say it out loud. Excellent, right. Well done, everybody. So, how did that feel? How did that feel and why did we do it? Well, we did that because acknowledging is the first step to empowerment. And have a think about this as well. Don't say this one out loud. Have a think about this as well. What makes you feel empowered? I'm a runner, and running makes me feel really empowered. And I have a mantra. When you fall in love with running, you fall in love with struggle. And when you fall in love with struggle, you fall in love with life. Running teaches me that every step forward is earned through discomfort. And I believe the same can be said for imposter syndrome. When you push forward, when you push through, you capture that struggle and you turn it into success. So just think about that in your life. What does pushing through look like for you? What does it feel like? They're the sorts of questions where growth lives. So here's some key takeaways from me. Imposter syndrome is not a flaw, it's a phenomenon. Channel it through brave, that's belief, reflect, acknowledge, validate, and empower. Struggle is not the enemy, it's the path. And the best bit is paying it forward means using your story to empower somebody else. And a final rallying call from me as well. The next time your imposter phenomena shows up, and it will, don't let it drag you backwards. Notice it, name it, and then choose to channel it. Use the brave framework as your anchor, your compass, your way back to yourself. And if you sat there now thinking, where do I start with all of this? Well, start with something very simple, a pen. Journaling is one of the simplest, most powerful ways to capture your inner critic in the act and rewrite that script. Journaling gives you the space to hear the noise, challenge it, and rewrite that story in your own words. Because this isn't just about being in the moment, this is about what you do next. This is about choosing again and again to believe it forward. Turning every doubt into data, every wobble into wisdom, and every step forward into the next chapter of who you are becoming. So that's your invitation, that's your power. Believe it forward and watch what happens when you do.